The People's Democratic Party, PDP, is once again facing more internal troubles as Samuel Anyanwu declared that he remains the legitimate holder of the party's national secretary position. The PDP's factional secretary, Samuel Anyanwu, declared that he remains in office, dismissing his expulsion and that of 10 others, including FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayose, at the party's convention in Ibadan as a jamboree.
Motion the expulsion of the following persons from the People's Democratic Party for anti-party activities and gross breaches. His Excellency Wike, His Excellency Ayo Fayose, Senator Samuel Anyanwu.
Ayo challenged the legitimacy of the Ibadan event, arguing that it did not meet the statutory requirements of a national convention. According to him, party members and stakeholders will meet to determine whether a proper national convention should be held or a caretaker committee appointed ahead of the expiration of the current leadership in December. Join us this morning for this discussion, former Special Advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan, a member of the People's Democratic Party, Comrade Jude Imagwe.
All right. We'll have Comrade Jude Imagwe joining us. There seems to be a slight network challenge, but we're also sorting that. We must mention that we're streaming live on YouTube, and you can go on YouTube and share with us what your thoughts are regarding the PDP. It did seem that we had hoped that would be Uhuru. Well, those who know that it wasn't going to be Uhuru with the Ibadan Convention, with the multiple court judgments regarding the People's Democratic Party's ability to hold a convention in Ibadan on the 15th of November.
Samuel Anyanwu said it was a jamboree. In other words, they just went there to socialize.
To do tinko.
Yes, and they didn't meet the criteria. But like Joe pointed out yesterday, it was a full stadium. It had delegates from most of the states. So I wonder what criteria is left.
Well, what we're about to see is the start of something special. This is where we say, please, cue in that fella song. You know.
Which of them?
You know how you start.
This is how we came here to do. Sit down.
Let's start
what we came here to do.
Then the song begins. Because you cannot think that a faction that has been so energized, so ready, will back down just like that. And if you say you've removed one who has been tagged as a national chairman, or national secretary rather, and say, listen, you're done, we're done with you. You know, you're expelled. And then you expel him alongside. If you look at the people that were expelled, you find out that they all have something in common. They are all people who have formed a particular, you would say, a caucus in the same party.
Plus 10.
Good. And now they've said, you know what, all of you, just move aside, step aside, so we can continue to grow. But there's a response. I hope we have that video as well. There's a response from the newly appointed national chairman of the PDP, senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Kabiru. He said, listen, we are going to fight. He said, we'll go there as our life, like our life depends on it.
I mean, the survival of the People's Democratic Party does depend on how they scale through this crisis. And they are moving towards managing the crisis because they've identified this 11 people who have been spanners in the they've been clogs in the wheels of PDP's progress, and they've done what is, I mean, according to many people, the commonsensical thing to do, because those people were not going to change their minds. And you have open fraternization with the ruling party, clear anti-party activities of these individuals. So the highest decision-making body of the party decided to, you know, take the nuclear option, expel them. Now what we have to do with the day after. And those that have been expelled are saying no, that we don't accept this. They're issuing statements, calling for meetings. So, but I know that the new chairman, Barrister Kabiru Turaki, is I mean, like you rightly said, he said he's going to fight this tooth and nail, and he's prepared. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. He does know the consequences of his actions and that of the PDP and the sort of people he will be dealing with. So we'll just have to wait and see how things play.
Well, don't forget too, for those who are just joining us, there will be 2 PDP factional meetings at one plaza.
I didn't believe that we'll be talking about
the same plaza that was about to be, destroyed at a certain point because they were not paying their dues.
Land
meeting.
Yeah.
And then Wike, the FCT minister, was hell-bent of ensuring that he brings sanity to that place. You cannot be staying in a place and you're not paying your dues. But I think along the line, because of the seemingly, relationship and friendship and peace that was brewing, he decided to let go. But now, this morning as we speak, let's announce to our viewers that if you are a PDP member, two parties are going to meet today at Wadata Plaza. One party is the one that is being led by the new PDP national chairman, Kabiru Turaki San, and then the other one led by the embattled, expelled, so to say, National Secretary, Senator Sam Anyanwu. So
I never believed that the day will come when we're talking about factions. And the factions we're looking at are factions within the People's Democratic Party. The PDP has been such a they've had a solid base, regardless of, yes, every party has its challenges.
I think it's early days to call it a faction, because, I mean, these are just individuals. They are 10 plus 1.
I don't agree.
Let me give you the right term to use. I mean, what I would rather use, because they don't have the followership of the Turaki-led leadership. You saw that base at the convention. I mean, it gives some sort of legitimacy to them. And you had delegates from all states of the Federation, apart from River State. The reason why I have a problem with the word factions is you both have
leaders.
You both have followers.
You forget the person
followers
and the influence.
Yes, so I'd rather say renegade.
Well, the question is not
because they don't respect the constituted authority of their party.
You also forget about the influence.
Let's allow a member.
You forget about the influence
let's allow a member speak.
That the minister of the FCT and several other people wield. But let's have our guests answer the questions that tug at our heart. And we have the former special advisor to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and member of the PDP, Comrade Jude Imagwe. Thank you for joining us this morning. Our first question to you would be, is it okay to say that the PDP now has factions?
It depends on what your terminology of faction represents. But again, good morning. I'm sorry for coming on late. Nigeria happened to my network. I do not think I will say we have a faction. I will only say we have people that are disobedient to constituted authority and people that are disobedient to the rule of law. And they have a right on their own as limited to their own freedom, but enshrined by the Constitution that all citizens must be expectant of the rule of law and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if I would say the people that gathered in somewhere around the eastern part of, southwestern part of Nigeria, I refer to them as people of the People's Disobedient Party. That's an arm of the People's Democratic Party that have just given birth to themselves just only but Friday, Saturday, and that had climaxed to the press release that was issued on Sunday. Otherwise, our own constitution, this very written document, is very clear and explicit. But again, I still find it very difficult to understand why I'm even tied by a line of this constitution that says we, the members of the People's Democratic Party. It therefore means including myself and every person that said they are members of the People's Democratic Party. That is the preamble. Say we, the members of the People's Democratic Party. In the supremacy of the constitution, we clearly stated and subscribe to the fact that, subject to the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and any other law in force, this Constitution shall be supreme, and this provision shall have binding forces on all members and organs of the party. if we have things that ties us bound, we are not living in a banana republic. There are things that governs every organization. Even your organization has its ethical and organizational structure and must be respected at all times. And if there are things that have been suggested that guides people's coexistence and we jettison it, do we now celebrate the action or the fallout of that thing? I feel that no, we are not being fair to democracy. We are also not being fair to the judiciary. We are also not being fair to the teeming Nigerian people that are looking forward to see a formidable and a strong opposition. Now, my dear sister, because of want of time, let us criticize the fact that though, let us not agree, but pretend as if all this thing is not about personal interest, ego, and self-centeredness. This very administration, formerly led by Ilia Damagu, which I on my own have written and have told him that he should resign. Well, I would say that he became extremely very clever, knowing too well that he has no battle again, no capacity or no energy to continue in the fight, but to hurriedly go to a bus stop, drop this thing for other persons to pick to inherit the fight. How can we raise an opposition like that? The second aspect of it is that we had 12 governors when we started this journey, this democratic dispensation. 4 had left with 8. 4 didn't attend the convention, meaning 4 participated. Out of the 4 that participated, 2 came out clearly to disassociate themselves with the happenings of the convention, starting by the man that is the convention committee planning chairman, the chairman of the convention. You should know what that power is. He says clearly that following the Electoral Act, he do not think that within his power, he has the right to advise that this convention proceeds, because 1, the Electoral Act of 2022, as amended in section 82 of it, says that convention requirement by all political parties for elective congresses in Nigeria, INEC must be given 21 days of notice. 21 days of notice. The second section of it says INEC monitoring must be allowed. INEC monitoring. Do we have instances where people have lost their offices because of INEC's presence in the convention? Yes. There was a case of Rivers, where internal Democratic Party system, owing to the fact that INEC said they were not party to the primaries, there was no APC candidate in Rivers. Then the current FCT minister was contesting the second term election. We have a case of Plateau, where all our democratically elected members of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly, with only exception a narrow escape by Governor of Plateau State, others lost their seat because of what we called it internal crisis, and INEC did not participate. We also have the one we benefited from, Zamfara, where all the organs, all the elective officers of the APC in Zamfara State lost to PDP. Are we saying that we are not students of history, or there are no things that suggest that we should have a reflection on to look at? Again, the law says an approved party electoral guideline must be displayed. Adherence to party, number 4 of it says adherence to party democratic principles, ranging from internal democracy, equal opportunity for aspirants, non-imposition of candidate, non-exclusion of any eligible member. Non-exclusion of any eligible member. What does that suggest? There are 2 cases. The first case before the courts is that the process of the sense of form was almost done like a secret court issue. I will tell you, how can you go for a convention, that of like People's Democratic Party, and the party printed only one form? Just one. The National Organizing Secretary, the NOS, Colonel Bature retired, whose constitutional responsibility as enshrined by this constitution has the duty to prepare all the congresses, from congresses to elective convention, did not even see the form. The National Secretary, whose signature is by law accepted by INEC with that of the National Chairman, says his signature was compromised. That first. Do not suggest that there is transparency in the process. They went to court, a judgment was given. They went to another court and got another judgment. I am not a lawyer, but I think elementarily, if a judgment says my name is not Jude Imagwe, what I need to do is to go to a higher court, for the higher court to tell the lower court to explain to me why my name is not Jude Imagwe. It will be an abuse of court proceedings, even if the court has competent or equal jurisdiction, for me to go to another court to tell the court that my name is Jude Imagwe, tell these people not to address me as James, because a court had already said I'm not Jude Imagwe. The only court that can overturn that thing is a higher court. We didn't do that. Rather, we went to get another judgment to say the convention must go on. Yes, let us agree that they said the convention must go on. Another judgment now came. What did that judgment say? The judgment said a candidate who intended to contest an election, even if the candidate is already zoned by his zone not to win the election, what it entirely means is that the candidate should be given the right of expression, that is the right of contesting an election. And the Electoral Act states it very clear that adherence to democratic principles means all opportunity, equal opportunity, without sex, without gender, to aspirants. This was also abused by us. Do we now say again that there are no ulterior motives? There should be. Do we now say again, let us again assume, because I feel that why this thing is actually having the attention is having, is because people have always tied this fight to be that of Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, His Excellency. And I feel that it is actually very painful to reduce people's bad behavior, executive abuse of judicial process, to the fact that they feel that you are fighting. If you are fighting a personal fight with somebody, look for another space to fight the fight. Not bring this fight into an organization, a party whose existence you were not even there when it was founded. The two leading factors today were not even in PDP when PDP was founded. Senator Bala Mohammed of Bauchi was the AMPP. I am not sure Governor Fintiri of Oyo had joined PDP when PDP was founded in 1999. Let them both tell us from 1999 up until when they eventually became beneficiary of PDP what they had contributed as nobody to the growth of party before they become the people that are enjoying it today. But again, we are where we are. The party has now been disseminated, reduced almost to nothing. We are hoping that the judgment that was the last standing judgment that was given that said, do not go. I liken it to be like the case of the biblical expression, where two women were fighting over the dead child and the living one. And one came and said, I own this living child, knowing too well that her child is dead. And the other one said, it's my child. And so Solomon said, okay, can I have a knife? Let's split this child. And the one that said that my child is alive said, no, don't split the child. Let's give this one the child so that she... The one that knew too well that her child is dead said, split the child. And at the end of the day, it was evident that the one that actually have passion, love, and respect for human life won the child. Truly, that is the mother of the child. Now, in this case, if in all sense of honesty, those people that went to Oyo were true lovers of People's Democratic Party, what suggests that the right thing should not have been done? The law is clear about the composition of a national convention. It states from beginning first that there must be congresses from ward up until local government to state before it climaxes to the national convention. Did all these processes stand? The answer is no, because the last NWC NEC that sat passed a resolution that was binding by every one of us that said, go back. There are 15 states that has an issue of caretakerism, and a complete region, zone, does not have a zonal structure, which is the southeastern zone. Go back and have this thing constituted before we can come back to convention. They didn't go. What did the Constitution say about Congress? Two-thirds majority. If 15 out of 36, including FCT 37, did not participate in the Congress, do they have two-thirds majority? The answer is no. So I do not understand why we should always sit down to... I feel another thing that the law should begin to equally look at is persons that present themselves to a process that ab initio house a limitation or a restriction should also have consequential punishment. Because if people do not wake up and subject themselves for party to use, then the party cannot go ahead.
So, Comrade Imagwe, if I hear you correctly, you were not in support of the Ibadan Convention because you believe that due process wasn't followed. And I'm sure that those who agree with you, especially because of the court judgments that had banned the convention from holding. Is that correct? Before I ask my next question.
Very true.
All right. So how do you suggest that PDP would have been able to get its house in order, especially because they've been having these issues for the longest time now? There have been those who have been asking, why has the minister of the FCT not yet been fired? Why is he still suspended from the party, or expelled from the party? Why is he still a leading force? You have said here that you feel bad that they are reducing it to a personal issue and making it about the FCT minister. But what else do you suggest that the PDP should have done to be able to clean its house or put its house in order?
Olive, let me tell you something. If you have true leadership, we will not have gotten to where we are today. I like responding to questions like this with empirical evidences. I was the Congress House of Primaries chairman in Gombe State, the National Assembly primaries in Gombe State in 2022. We went for the primaries and conducted the primaries. And after the primaries, in one of the senatorial districts, 2 candidates had an issue. One won with 1 vote. Is the incumbent senator today, Senator Anthony Yaro. And Honorable Binta lost by 1 vote. And she came back and appealed to the National Secretariat that she was not comfortable with how that 1 vote was generated. And as such, she felt that the process was compromised. And she needed to go back she requested that the primaries be cancelled, be nullified, and the fresh primaries be conducted. The person that won, who is the incumbent senator today, now suggested that he was going to court. Now, so they gathered hands of lawyers and have almost reached the conclusion of how they were going into the case. But because I was the chairman of the primaries, I was invited to say, okay, I will also be joining the court because I conducted the election. So after everything, I asked the question. I said, can I ask the question? I said, do we still have a window period between INEC constituted deadline that we can no longer conduct primaries and where we are today? If there is a window period, rather than going to court, why don't we go back and conduct the primaries? My concern was that it would be a moral burden for you as a candidate from campaign venue to court, from campaign venue to court. Even your supporters will be confused because some will assume that after all this campaign, should this man not win the case in the court, the other woman, Honorable Binta, would have now become the candidate. Likely, they may not have wanted to support her. And on the basis of that, some of them would jettison the process. I said, so since we have a window period, can we go back and conduct these primaries?
Okay.
And they're like, are you sure you are ready to go? I said, yes, I was ready to go. We went back, Olive, conducted the primary. The man won with now a higher margin. And there was no longer court case. There was no distraction. He eventually won the election. He's a serving senator today. Now back to PDP. If PDP, within when Justice Omotosho had given that court judgment that the problem you have in your party, which is still tied to what the NEC resolved, that go and complete these things. See, by then it was 15 states.
All right.
We had also conducted congresses in 36 states in one day. What was wrong for us to have gone back to conduct these congresses in these 15 states under the period that we have been going in and out of court, to be sure that now we want to approach equity. We are approaching equity with clean hands.
I hear you
we
completely.
have done these congresses,
right.
and we do not have any liability that somebody will come again to hold. If you don't create an opportunity for somebody to take to court, the person will not go to court.
Comrade Jude Imagwe, we hear you correctly that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. The PDP has its work cut out for it, and we hope that it's able to dance to the tune that it has set for itself, and that they're able to find some rhythm in the nearest future, and to enable the PDP to become a formidable force. It's still very far, right? Well, I guess
it's still very far, because where we have found ourselves now, they have reduced it almost to nothing.
And it's really sad, Comrade Imagwe. It's really, really sad. But we'll find out today. I mean, after the meetings today, we'll see what next. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Benga. Thank you.
Yeah.